Hey y'all, welcome back to the Smoke Dungeon. DB here, and today I want to talk to you about Minotaurs. That's right, DB been having Minotaurs on the brain for a while now. Well, probably 40-some years. But recently, because Big Bro's been hemming and hawing, he wants to play some 3rd edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle. He's itching to get his undead back out. I got a rack of armies. But you know one I ain't used in a while? My Chaos Army. But my Chaos Army ain't like everybody else's Chaos Army from back in the day. Nah, the one I'm getting ready to go at them with is all Beastmen, yo. I think I got 5 Chaos Warriors or something in there. But the desire is to make it like all Beastmen. Maybe sneak a Chaos Dwarf Bazooka in there. Shh, who knows, you know? But it got me digging out old school Minotaurs. Because I was going to buy some new Minotaurs. I figured the Beast of Chaos GW stuff came out and they would re-release some cool Minotaurs. But they didn't. Instead, they got Minotaurs with muscles on their shin bones. Like, what is that nonsense? They're like some of the shittiest Minotaurs I ever seen. And I've seen some shitty Minotaurs. In fact, I grew up on shitty Minotaurs. One of the first Minotaurs I can remember ain't so shitty, though. Well, y'all might think it is, but I don't. I think it's a goddamn masterpiece, and it's this. So when I think Minotaurs, I'm thinking this, y'all. That's right. This is my original Keep on the Borderlands from 1980, y'all. Still got it. All beat up. Played the shit out of that. But when I think Minotaurs, that's what I kind of think. So I was digging through my collection. And I didn't really have anything that quite fit the bill, y'all. So let's take a look at what I got. And then we'll keep talking. You know what I'm saying? So I actually found 6 Minotaurs like this. Based up. Brown. In my collection. Bunch of them, the arms broke off. They're in the box. Or in the case with the broken arms. But I got this dude, his arm wasn't broken off. But I got him out. But he's no good to me right now. You know why? Because he ain't goblin green. And I didn't really feel like painting over the brown. I actually kind of liked the brown. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave him. But he's pretty cool, right? I figured I'd show him to y'all. Standard Minotaur, 2-handed weapons. One thing I don't particularly care about him is the lack of cloven feet. I prefer my Minotaurs to be cloven hooved. I'll just say that, you know? And he's got like, I don't know, Beastman human feet or whatever. So, but whatever. That's cool. You know? So we got him. And then I dug these 3 out because I'm going to use these 3 because they're goblin greened up the right way. Check this dude out. 1-hand weapon. Same range as these dudes. GW Middle Hammer. I don't know the exact year these dudes came out. Probably late 90s, early 2000s, maybe? I don't know. And I didn't bother to look. Because, like I said, I just want to goblin green these dudes' bases. But while I was doing it, I was like, let's show the people some Minotaurs. Let's give the people what they don't want. And that's apparently some Minotaurs. I'm sure this video will get all of 47 views. And you know what? Algorithm, get the D. Check him. Here we go. My man right here is back to the 2-hand weapons. And you'll notice he also took some damage here. Gonna have to fix that. A little touch-up paint. I was into that blue leather, apparently. Not really sure what was going on there. But yeah. Oh, actually, I do remember. There was one group I painted blue, and then these other dudes I painted red so that I could tell them apart, probably. In their army list. Because obviously you could tell the models apart, but like in the army list when it was like Minotaur Unit 1, Minotaur Unit 2. This dude, you'll see, all these guys had, not only were the hands interchangeable, but the heads. And this dude is probably one of my favorite, dude. Even though he's got them Texas, like kind of longhorn horns, like the really thin, long ones. And he's got these gnarly ass teeth. So he has never been to a dentist or orthodontist, dude. He is hurting. And he's got this giant ass meat cleaver, which is dope. I like it. I like it. He's pretty cool, even though his face is goofy as shit. He's pretty cool. But you know what? That wasn't enough. So I got these dudes out over here, and I was like, yeah. I specifically remember painting these dudes. But I thought I based them, but I guess I didn't. And that's why I got them out. Now, these dudes, you'll notice, these I painted probably... Ooh, I don't know. I'm pretty sure these are Marauder miniatures. So these probably would have been mid to late 90s. I was probably in college when I painted these. So, yeah. And you'll see they're super basic, dude. But, like, the scheme is so good. It's like, just a lighter color and then a darker color. And I even painted pupils on this dude. Pupils is a surefire way to usually wreck a model, in my opinion. But, not too bad right here. So I dig that. I dig that. You see he's got the scar on him. He's got the 8-pointed star. Very dope. And these are Marauder, and the heads and weapons were interchangeable on these. And you'll notice these dudes had cloven feet. So, like, that, maybe that's why I really like them. And then there's the red. Very clean paint job. Could probably use a wash if I'm being honest, but here's another one. His buddy. I don't know why he's, like, off-center on the base. Probably so they all fit when I lined them up, I guess. And he's brown. And him, I went dark and then light. So it's just a reverse scheme, you know. Dirtied up the horns. Repeated the red color. Nice, clean paint job. Nothing crazy. I was going to say, did I paint his eyes? But I did. There's just a lot of shadows in there. There are red dots in there. I sees them. I sees them. And then there's this dude, the third man of the triumvirate. And you'll notice this dude's weapon, you look at it and you'll be like, what? And what happened here was, he had this same axe right down there. And I was like, nah, can't have that. Can't have two dudes with the same axe. So I just cut it off. And then I took a ball of green stuff and put it on here. And was like, I got a mace. And then I was like, you know what? I want a spike mace. So I took little finishing nails and I cut them in half and I put them in here. And I was like, that looks dope. But then he kept getting stuck in his case. And then one time I picked him up by the nails and I was like, that hurt. So I ripped all that shit off, dude. I was like, nah, no thanks. And I just took another ball of green stuff, smashed it on there, and then like kind of rust affected it. That's what I went with there. So, yeah. But these dudes are dope. Old school Marauder. Yeah, painted them in the 90s. I don't know originally when they were released. So, but you know what? I was like, that's not really enough Minotaurs. And I knew in the dungeon, I got some stuff, y'all. So what did I do? I started digging. And what was the first thing I found, y'all? That I was like, well, it was these. And these are Rackham Wolf. I don't know what they were called. Wolfmen? I found 6 of these dudes. I found some with double-handed weapons, and then some with just a sword and like their hand all chained up. And they got a very War Machine vibe. I do have a Circle of Orbos army from War Machine back in the day, and that's what they remind me of, the war beasts, the wolf beasts from there. But they predate that, and you can see by the amount of dust, I've had these forever. So I have 6 of these dudes, and apparently they're already on like ogre bases here. So at some point I primed them, I built them, I primed them, and put them on bases with the intent of either using them as Minotaurs or ogres, which is super cool, because I was like, you know what? I really want to paint one of these dudes. Here's another one. I didn't bring them all over to the table here, but here's another one. He's got some kind of crazy Gurkha sword thing. I don't know, kukri. Crazy knife. I don't know. Hard to see the detail on them, but if anybody knows, these old Rackham miniatures are sick, dude. They're dope. All metal. Wolf dudes. But I was like, I don't know. Didn't quite satisfy the itch, you know? So I kept digging. Guess what else I found, y'all? This dude. Now, this dude, I'm pretty sure, is a Cromlech Minotaur from way back in the day. And he's pretty dope. His arms seem excessively long to me. But I don't know. Maybe that's me. I do like his head, though. His back, like that mane. I dig that. And And this guy I found in the back of the case, he was already built. And I think his deal was he, pretty sure one year when we were running Adepticon events, he was in the prize box that they gave us and nobody took him. So I was just like, dude, taking this fucking Minotaur. Because back in the day when we ran events at Adepticon, there was no official prize support from like GW or whatever. It was just, you know, we ran 30K events and like, it was just like, they just handed us a bunch of rando shit. And I must have taken this dude. He's pretty cool, right? Not the best, but pretty cool. But you know what? It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, y'all. And I kept thinking, like, what is it do I really want? And one of my favorite Minotaurs is a Marauder miniature Minotaur that's wearing a breastplate. He's got a two-handed axe that he's leaning against. And he's pretty cool. But I couldn't find him. And I was like, I wasn't even really sure if that was the one I wanted. And then I got to thinking, y'all. And then I remembered this. That's right, y'all. This pair of Minotaurs, an embodiment of bestial brutality, rejoicing at the prospect of fresh gore. That's right, 2 Minotaurs that you first saw in the mighty Darkwing Avenging Lord of Chaos Brian Ansel's army. Dude, if you've never taken a picture like this in front of your army, you ain't doing it right. Because I'll tell you straight up, DB took a picture like this when I was probably about 12, dude. We set up like a huge Warhammer battle, and we took pictures with like a disposable camera and shit, and like got them developed because we were going to make our own battle report and send it into White Dwarf. And we were like, yo, you know what we need? We need pictures in front of our armies, like the Warhammer Armies book. And so like we all set our shit up and did this. So there's a picture of 12-year-old me with like Coke bottle glasses and a fucking Braves hat, you know, in front of my like hodgepodge dwarf and human army and shit. But anyway, off the internet, y'all. That's right. This dude, check him out. Butt naked in his weird G-string. You'll notice no cloven feet. He's actually like a Minotaur with like real human feet, dude. Which like, for nostalgia reasons, I'm willing to tolerate. This dude cost me $30 off the internet, yo. $30. I know, excessive, but whatever. More importantly, this dude, yo, Cleaver Man. Also $30 off the internet. So dope. Now you'll notice these dudes are, they're small base dudes, right? They're also not quite, even if I cut the tabs off them, which I don't know if I'll do, they're not quite as big as these dudes. So they will be a little bit smaller, but whatever. I'll just put them in a unit of 2 like I'm Brian Ansel, and they'll just fucking roll around and attack people and like feast on their flesh. You know what I'm saying? And I'm out here doing this, buying these and digging up all these old Minotaurs because nobody makes a good Minotaur, man. If for like $50 you could get like, I don't know, 4 or 5 plastic Minotaurs that were like half decent, I probably would have bought them and never went on this nostalgia trip. But you know what? I'm glad I fucking did. And as a bonus for y'all, if you're hanging around till like whatever minute this is, listening to me fucking prattle on about Minotaurs, dude, and showing you some old school shit, how about a space Minotaur? Boom. Space Minotaur with like miniguns in his shoulders and a gas mask, dude. That's right. I found him in the dungeon too. He's an old Warzone Chronopia kind of dude. I think he's the Demon Legion from Warzone. Super cool though. You'll notice cloven feet on this dude, right? He's got like a Cyclone missile launcher rando style. I have so many Warzone miniatures. I could make that like a separate channel or series. Well, I wouldn't make a separate channel because, you know, this channel is doing its best to single-handedly fight the algorithm. So yeah, here's a bonus. If you're like one of the 10 people that watch this video to the end, Space Minotaur. That's right. But yo, remember, more importantly than Minotaurs, be good to one another. Do what you feel.